basically you get a job emailed. Oh, up the top there's a little bit of an overview picture. It's quite old, but it's still basically right. So you've got a up the top left there, the little black and yellow 915 IAD.
Yes.
And that plugs into a PoE switch, and the PoE switch plugs into your IP phones.
Right, your phone. Yep.
Yep. And so just below that they show the pattern device hanging off a separate IAD, but that's not actually the case. It comes off the 915 as well.
Oh, yep.
And your analog lines can hang off that pattern device.
Yep.
At this stage, there's an issue with analogs coming straight off the 915 box. So that's kind of going with the pattern.
Yep.
So you can have analog, analog IP gateway or analog faxes or whatever. And officially, at some stage, they will be able to hang directly off the 915 box in the analog ports.
Yes.
There's a bit of an issue with that at the moment, so they're putting in a pattern device for those to hang off at the moment. And so you understand how the PoE works with the switch?
Yes, done a few of those.
Yeah, okay. So if you get an issue with a cable as a temporary fix, you can just bung in a power pack, and that will still work all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Into the phone, it works on the white-blue pair, so we've done a couple of outlets that have been data outlets, so they haven't realised that the other pairs have been faulty until we go to plug a phone in, a PoE phone, you know. So you can just bung in a power pack as a temporary fix to get it going. Well, they've even been left like that in some places.
Yeah, that's what I did a cut over like that. We actually just went around and pulled power packs out later on.
Yeah, that's right. And once you fix up the outlet, then you can, or if you get one where you suddenly realise last minute you needed to use a data splitter or something, you can just bung a power pack into both of them and get them up and running temporarily until they put a new outlet in. So down into the down at Tech's IP Gateway installation guide. So we get obviously sent the job by dispatch. One of the first things you want to do, this is basically just talking about the cutover at this stage. So we've already done the audit and the build and activate and everything, or you could do this at build and activate stage as well. Just ring the customer and confirm if there's any premier users that they have installed the IP Gateway toolbar and been given their username and passwords and either tested them themselves, or you can actually install the toolbar on your own computer and get their logins and passwords and test them yourself and just make sure they work.
Yep.
Before you go out there to do the cutover. Now, having said that, the toolbar is basically a piece of crap and flawed with problems and issues and things, but we just do the best we can with it at the moment. I've just sent a big complaining email off to a whole bunch of people at Telstra Clear about the toolbar. how frustrating it is going out to train on it when half the stuff doesn't work and the links are broken. And so be warned if you get one.
Yep.
So your IAD switch pattern, if you are getting a pattern, if there's analog lines, have been sent to your whatever stores process you have, wherever you come from. So you need to get the gear and then send the MAC addresses via SDA so that converged activations or data activations or whatever you want to call them can do the build for you.
So is that still happening? Because I know that they've changed the way they're doing it with the 1424s. They're actually doing...
still need to...
Yeah, they think the 1424s, the job gets to me and it's already got the MAC address loaded into SDA because the IM's doing it.
Yeah, that may be an area-specific thing. So as long as somebody is picking up the gear when it arrives and loaded into SDA. In Auckland, we get the gear delivered directly from Hellmann's. So in your area, it might go to the IM first and then they send it to you. So as long as somebody's done that process of getting the MAC addresses into the system, and so that they can build the stuff before it's needed, you know. So then we do the boot loader process. Now, both of you guys and Richard Takarua are all aware of that. I'll sort out that little pattern file for you, Simon.
Yep, that's great.
I'll do that after the meeting.
Yep.
And I've just there's also another update to the boot config that I'm just getting confirmation from Ming Zhao that we are still supposed to be doing, and if he confirms that we're still supposed to be doing this little update, that will get sent out to everyone on one of those service partner change notices, and it's basically just a little install file, exe file, that all you have to do is click on it basically, and it updates the bootloader. But before I send it to everyone, I just want to get Ning to confirm that it's still necessary, because he thinks it may fix a few other issues they're having with the Allied Telesis gear. Because I've put this patch on mine ages ago, and I don't seem to have the issues that some other people are happening. So he's thinking maybe it's this patch that he doesn't know where it came from, and I don't know where I got it from. I think the guy who invented the thing gave it to me way back in the very early stages, but it didn't go out to anyone else. It never got released, so it could hopefully be something that will fix all the issues we're having. But for now, just hold off. But you'll receive this thing, a little exe file, if it goes ahead, and just install it like a normal program, and then there's nothing else you have to do. All right, so back to the process. If you're looking down there, I've got MAC addresses, load the boot config. Now, steps 6 through 11, I've said here you can do in a test lab or a pop site if you have that luxury. Obviously, you can't do that if it's hanging off a Telecom HSNS or something like that.
Yeah, which mine will be. So that's
yeah. So the DAC point's installed at site, so you just got to do all your testing on site. So install and label the circuit with the appropriate designations and the ports. You might have a HSI or something hanging off one of the other ports, so you do all your labelling just as per normal. Now the IMG 915 can go into the customer's comms rack as ideal, and the switches and everything, but sometimes Telstra Clear will stipulate that we have to put our own separate rack in, or you can do it on a little shelf like I've done there, just a little cheapy Bunnings shelf. They're happy with that. The only thing is it should be Velcroed down now, especially with all the current earthquake crap that's going on. So you should secure that gear to the shelf somehow with a Velcro, preferably a Velcro, but you can use a zip tie or something if you haven't got any Velcro, so that it's all going to stay put in a shake-up. And so we don't connect any phones to the iAd at this stage, so you can, the easiest way to do that, you can plug all your phones into the switch and everything when you're installing, but just don't connect the switch to the iAd. Because that can cause some problems when they're pushing the config down. The phones have built-in DHCP servers, and it can confuse the box. It can pick up a DHCP address from one of the phones instead of from the server. And it's a bit of a mission to go back and rebuild it. So you have to get somebody basically to dial into it, Alex Hoffman or one of those boffins from Telstra Clear to fix it for you. It's best just to avoid that problem. Doesn't happen every time, but it can happen, so it's best just to have the general rule of don't plug your phones in until they've pushed the config down and it's all finished. So there we go. Here you get converged activations, data activations, whatever you want to call them. They push down the config, the box will reboot 3 times, and they can actually watch it and tell you when it's finished. So at that stage, if you've got a pattern device, you can then connect that up to the appropriate port on the box, which will be in your install spec, tell you where to put it, but it is port 1 normally. And then they'll push a config down to that as well. This is after you've put your boot configs on, etc.
Yep.
And then, so the last port on your PoE switch, if it's a 24 port switch, you'd go port 24. Unless stipulated otherwise on the install spec, of course, put into port 4 of your IMG 915, and then you can plug in all your phones and start testing. So that's, I've got a list there of all the ports too.
Yep.
Complete the training using your IP gateway manuals, and hopefully everything works. So the big thing to test on these is your call flows and that sort of stuff's all been set up properly, and all your standard features are working, transferring, etc. We've had a bit of an issue lately, which Wayne can justify too, that your phone's all boot up and there's no directory visible on the phone. So there should be the little soft buttons on the phones. One of them should say directory. If it doesn't, it means something hasn't been built properly. Basically, you've got to go back. How did you fix that issue, Wayne? Was it a build problem?
It was a build. They were looking at it, but I haven't been back for them to reset it because I don't want to lose the customer's services.
Okay.
Yeah.
something wrong in the build of the phones, basically. So, handy when you've seen one that is working, so you know what they should look like.
Yeah.
It would have been better to do this training in a lab, but unfortunately they don't exist around the country at this stage. So we're doing the best we can over the phone. But pretty much your phone should have the standard call forwarding dialer number, and there should be a little directory soft tab on the digital display of the phone, and that's a good indication that they're not built properly, I should say, if you don't have that directory button displaying on the phone, which isn't in the instructions here because it's something we've just discovered recently. It's a relatively common issue we've had on new installs. So. I've just listed the ports there off the 915. These are a standard, but they will sometimes do something different. So there was a service partner change notice went out the other day to whatever's written on your install spec from your install manager is what you should take as what's right for that install. So if it's different to the norm, then you run with what's on the install spec. There's a few known issues here. There's just one about don't connecting the phones while it's downloading its config. So something to bear in mind if you're on an existing site and they want to re-push down a new config, it just pays to unplug the phones, even if they don't tell you should. I always do anyway. It doesn't hurt, and it will save any possible issues of IP address conflicts and things when the IAD and the phones are all booting up together at the same time. There's all these things displaying IP addresses and trying to boot up, and they all just get confused, and it causes some problems. So you start a password for voicemail. It's not advertised in a lot of the documents, so I've just put it in there so you know what it is. If they set it properly, as Wayne's discovered, they sometimes don't do that right, but that's what it should be. So if it isn't that, they should change it to that. Obviously, we've been told the IP gateway, any of the IP products, we're not supposed to have alarms or emergency lines or anything running off these because they run on power. So if they insist that you do that, we just need to tell the customer, on a power cut, this ain't going to work. So there might be, I've had one where it was an alarm line off a big, humongous, great big air conditioning unit, and obviously if it lost power for some reason and didn't hit it,
cause some serious damage.
Start freezing up and cause some major problems. So anything like that is going to be an issue if it goes off. You really shouldn't be hanging off one of these. They should get a telecom line put in for it or something. But if they insist, then you just warn them and make sure they're aware, and so that you're not liable for it if it blows up one day.
Yeah.
Something in writing or something. They can't have flexibility over any of these IP features at this stage. Wayne might be able to tell me if this is still the case. I believe they were going to fix it, but you can't. When you get a message waiting and you get a stuttered dial tone, at the start you can't dial over it like you can on normal lines. So if you're going to have an FPOS machine or something running on a line that's got voicemail, it pays to program in up to 3 pauses to get past the stuttered dial tone before it starts dialing. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, yep. So it starts into the main dial tone, yep.
Yeah, normally, when you get that started dial tone, you can just start dialing the number and it works. But on the IP phones, for some reason, it doesn't. You have to wait till you get the solid dial tone before you can dial. FPOS machines and alarms and things, obviously, even though they're not supposed to be on the system, but you get the odd one where they tell you to do it. If they do have voicemail on that line, either get the stuttered dial tone feature disabled, or you have to put some pauses in front of the dial string, get the alarm check or the FPOS people to put some pauses in front of the dial string to get past the dial tone.
And don't have the pauses too long, otherwise you'll miss your call. We get missed dialing.
Yeah. So I've said that they're up to 3, and usually it's 3 will do the trick. I've tried it with 3 and it's worked.
It was noticeable IP clarity, but of course, as you know, IP clarity is not happening anymore.
Yeah, that whole system's gone. But you might get it on an IP gateway where they have no option to put in an analog line. There might be only fibre to the site and no copper at all, so they'll run it off this. So just something to bear in mind. You get an issue with the alarm, that might be what it is, that it's on a line that's got stuttered dial tone on it. Yeah, I've had an issue once a long time ago with the FPOS machine. It was an old style one, and I had to ring the FPOS company and get them to enable fast detect. And then we also had another one where we had to get them to turn it off. Bit of a strange scenario, but if FPOS doesn't work, it's just something to bear in mind. I mean, if you're a whiz on programming FPOS machines, you can do it yourself, or you can ring them up and they'll talk you through it. It's just a feature that you turn on or off called fast detect. I don't know what it does, but seems to have an issue on some older FPOS machines. Some faxes and modems don't seem to like the digital lines. It's typically the older ones. Again, I don't know if this is still an issue on the R17, the version we're using now, but it always pays to give them a quick test before you get beyond the point of no return running a SOM. Send a fax to someone or something from the fax machine. You don't always have that luxury, I know, on ones that are live cutovers and things, but just something to bear in mind. And if it doesn't work, there's nothing you can do about it. Pretty much just you have to get an analog line put into the fax. Haven't had an issue with that for a long time, so I don't think it's an issue on R17. I think it was something that's fixed in the upgrades they've done. One here, the Polycom phones, you can do a factory reset on them, particularly if you've got a recycled one. And the admin password is 456. You're just going through the features on the phone and do a factory reset, and that will set it back. Somebody may have put a fixed IP address on it or something if it's from an old install. Another note there, it's not physically possible to program a pause into a dial string. So if you've got a customer that wants to program in like their voicemail number, then a pause and their PIN number or something like that, we haven't figured out a way to do it yet in the phone directories. So I've pretty much come to the conclusion that it's not possible. Yeah, now advanced users can have a dial zero option added to their phones, which is not commonly advertised, but it's quite handy when you get a customers that their phones are in a hunt group, but they also would like if somebody calls them direct on their DDI to be able to have messages, and also have the option for the person to go back to the hunt group if they don't want to leave a message. We get quite a few customers that want that option. You know, they'll be a member of a hunt group like sales reps, but people will also have their DDI, but they want their customers to have the option to go back to the hunt group if that particular sales rep isn't there. So they have it's either leave me a message or dial zero to go back to the operator or something like that, you know. But it's not sort of commonly advertised that feature is available, so I just sort of pointed out to everyone that you can do that. All right, that's pretty much it for that install guide. Always scared when I close things on here that I'm going to end the session. So I'll do a quick run over the audit doc. So if you open up that audit doc version 9.5.
Yep.
I'm not going to go too in-depth into here because I could honestly spend a whole day going over IP gateway features. So you obviously do Telstra Clear audits normally, Simon?
Yes, indeed.
So I don't need to go over all the pages other than the IP line build.
IP line build. Oh, yeah. So I wouldn't be doing that as part of an audit, would I?
You do this as part of an audit, yeah. So I'm going to run over the basics of it.
Yep.
There's obviously a lot more complex stuff than this. If you get a really complex customer, like a big call center or something like that, you just want to straight away get a either Ross Campbell or somebody from Telstra Clear involved in it, because they don't expect us to be experts at that sort of thing. Yep. So if you get an audit to go and audit a very large, complex environment, you want to get a solutions specialist or one of the install managers who's quite au fait with that sort of thing involved.
Yep.
Pretty much go and log down with the customer on a bit of paper or a spreadsheet or something, how they want it to work, and then just email it back to Telstra Clear and get them to sort it out. But you can do some basic ones yourself. So have you got the IP line build open, Simon?
Yes.
Yep. So if you look on there, up the top there, we've got product type IP gateway. And I've put in here, this particular customer wants a couple of hunt groups, and then they want each person to have their own individual phone numbers as well. So we've got the two hunt groups there have actually been assigned their own individual phone numbers. So that you would typically use whatever the customer's old pilot number or whatever for the hunt group.
Yep.
And you'll notice down the bottom there, I've also got an auto attendant. Every IP gateway customer gets, I think, up to about 2 or 3 hunt groups and 1 auto attendant free of charge. So if they want to use it, they can have the auto attendant, and that would probably be whatever their old pilot number was. So you'd hit the auto attendant.
Yep.
And
your hunt groups.
On your call flow, if you go to call flow AA, the page labelled call flow AA.
Call flow. Oh, yep. There's the next page across. Hold on.
Yep. It's about 1, 2, 3, 4 across from there.
Call flow. Oh, yep. Auto attendant. Okay. Yep.
So it's very basic. You just now this. I haven't set this up to relate to this audit, unfortunately. I haven't got that organised. But you pretty much just put incoming calls come to whatever their main number is. And then you have option 1 dials sales, option 2 dials whatever, option 3 dials whatever, option 4 dials whatever, and then they can have an after hours one. And this is all, what is on this page, they get for free. If they want anything bigger than that, that's when you'd have to go back to a solution specialist and they come up with a tailor-made solution for them. So you can fill that out pretty easily yourself. So you can have option 1 go to the sales hunt group, which I'll go back to and talk about. If we go back to the IP line build, as I say, these numbers may not be accurate on here compared to the other. So option 1 would be allocated a phone number, which if they had a number before for their sales hunt group you could use, or you would just give it a brand new number. And that would be, so when people dial option 1, it goes through to the sales hunt group. That number doesn't really need to be advertised, although they can do if they want to, give it to people. And then down below that you've got Bob and Rita. Over on the Hunt Group member tab there, you look.
Oh, is it back on the...
Can you see it? So we're back on the IP line build page.
Yeah, yep. So you've got them as IP phones for Bob and Rita.
Yep. So and the other 2 above there, I've got a Hunt Group. So they're just software numbers.
Yes.
So if you look along the line of Bob Smith, along to the right, you'll see I've got him as a member of Hunt Group 1.
Hunt Group number, yes. Hunt Group 1, yep. So he's part of that.
And if you look just below that, Rita is a member of Hunt Group 1 and 2. So, basically what you do is you give each Hunt Group a number. So the first one's Hunt Group 1, the second one's Hunt Group 2, and then you go down all your individual people and just say which ones you want them to be a member of.
Yep.
So they can be a member of all the hunt groups or none.
Yep.
So when sales hunt group 1 is rang, it will ring both Bob and Rita. And you can further down the page again, you can tell them if you want that to be a regular hunt group or a simultaneous ring or whatever you want. And the drop down.
That'll be your call flow chart. So your hunt group is, you can do a diagram in your hunt group call flow chart.
Yeah, we're getting up to that. I'll get up to that. In fact, I'll go over that now since Wayne's brought it up. So, relating to your hunt groups, if you click on the page that says call flow option 1.
Call flow option 1, yes.
Yep. Now again, I haven't configured this to match the IP line build, but you can see there those.
You understand what's going on.
Yeah. So you put the main incoming calls would be to auto attendant, and then option 1 is hunt group 1, and then on the right there you have your phones that are members of hunt group 1.
Yes.
Whatever. And then you can also have a call flow option 2.
So I'm taking you can move these little icons around the screen here and set it all up.
Yeah, you can copy and paste them. So if you want more phones, again, it's only any good for a fairly simple setup. If you've got a customer that's got a big complex setup, you wouldn't want to be bothering trying to do a huge big thing on this page. You just refer it back to Telstra Clear, and they will come up with a separate hunt group spreadsheet that they make themselves. But what you might have to do, they might want you to talk to the customer, or they might do it themselves and just jot down on some form how they want their calls to flow. even if it's just a bit of paper and you write it away and fax it to them or something, you know.
Yep.
So that's quite important if they want you to do it, to have a really good sit-down conversation with the customer. You can bill extra time to that if you want to and find out how they want it to work, you know.
Yeah.
What they want after hours, what they want if it's busy, and, you know, all that sort of thing. But if it's a basic little 5 or 6 phones, you can do it on here.
Yeah, that's pretty
All
easy.
these boxes you can copy and paste and move around, have a bit of a play with it, you know. It makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
There we go. Go back to the IP line build page again.
Alright. IP line build. Yep.
The auto attendant's pretty self-explanatory. It's just they get that, comes for free. They don't have to use it if they don't want to, but it's free, so you might as well, you know. And you can just have the people's names as the options on there, you know.
Yep.
You know, or they can go to hunt groups. Now you'll notice another thing I've got on that IP line build page is a voice portal.
Voice portal.
Just down below all the Bob and Rita's names.
Oh yeah, yep. It's entry 5. Yep.
Yep. So every IP gateway customer that has voicemail needs to have a voice portal, and that needs to be a separate number that you allocate. And basically all it is the same thing as if you're dialing in from your phone at home, you dial 083210 to get into the voicemail.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's this customer's specific number to access their voicemail platform. So, but every IP gateway customer has to have one. And you might need to request a new number, or you can just put in here, please add a new number, and Tova will just pick a number and put it in there, you know. But
so if you had 10 phones and you had voicemail, you had 10 numbers as well, 10 portals.
Well, you only need one portal number. It's one generic number that everyone from this company can dial into to access voicemail. So when you dial that number, you'll get prompted for your mailbox number. But just think of it as being the 083210 number, if you're familiar.
It's a software number to run to.
Yeah. So instead of everyone dialing into one number, it's every customer has their own number that they dial into. So if I was to dial 9128000, I'd get a voice saying, please enter your mailbox number, and I'd put in my own mailbox number and get to my voicemail via that.
Because the other thing, Neville, when they get the extension number, when they build these voice portals, and you know you might have 2-digit dialing extension or 3-digit dialing extension, Tova set that up, your voice portal, for the same amount of extension numbers as well. So you
can see, and they'll put extension 800 as being the voice portal number. So so it can have an extension number. So when they're in the office, obviously they don't have to dial the whole number. They can just dial the extension number, and that would be
just
pretty
to
much
clear
more
things
for when
up.
you're out of the office. Yeah.
So Bob and Rita would both dial 800 to get access to it.
Yep, and then they would just dial their phone number when prompted for the mailbox number.
Yeah.
But if you're in the office, you can just dial your own number, and then it's hash, I think it is. So either or, it's just another way to get into voicemail. But if you're out of the office, you obviously need to dial the voice portal number. I think you can still dial your own number when you're out of the office too, but and press hash or whatever it is, and it takes you to the voicemail.
The voicemail, like a normal
but
cell phone.
It is required. If they want to have voicemail, they have to have a voice portal. So Tova will just build it if you haven't allocated a number.
Right.
The other thing, I don't know, are you going to mention about the group hunts and voicemail for them, so that while you're on the voicemail?
Yep. So when you if you set up a hunt group, and they want the hunt group to go to voicemail, you just have to stipulate which person's mailbox you want it to go to. Yep. So it will go in this case it might be Rita, the receptionist. So we say when a call comes into hunt group number 1, the sales hunt group, steps around everybody and gets unanswered, we then want it to go to Rita's mailbox.
Oh, yep, and actually you've just noted on that flow diagram, it's got that with the voicemail.
That's right, yeah. Yep. Or the hunt group can have its own mailbox, but then they would have to dial into the voice portal and enter the hunt group's mailbox number to get that message, so that's not ideal. Right. Because it's a long-winded process to clear the messages, and nobody will get any notification that there's a message there.
Yeah.
You have to just go in and check it.
Yep.
So what the good thing about a voice hunt group is, you can have we've done a few with 12 customers. They can all have their own voicemail. But if you put them in a hunt group, you can designate the last person. And when it goes to the hunt group, it won't jump to the individual pieces of voicemail. It'll go right through the hunt group and go to the voicemail that you designate.
Yep. Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about, oh God, how's it going to stop going to their voicemail? The hunt groups are all separate.
Yep.
Yeah. The hunt group is a software number, and hunt group calls are handled differently to individual calls to the people. So they will step around and do what you tell the hunt group to do, and people can still ring in on their DDI.
Yep.
And get them individually and leave a message. That's where that dial 0 option comes in handy. If they're a sales rep and people don't want to leave a message, they want to talk to someone, they can just press dial 0 and go back to the hunt group. So you have your dial 0 set to the hunt group there. But as I say, that's not a feature that's standardly available, so you have to request it. If you go down to the far end of this document, there's a comments box.
Yep.
You can put in there, please add a dial 0 option to go to sales.
Yep, dial 0 to sales, yep.
I'll put it on the hunt group there. It should be on the person's name, really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's at my error there. So that's... if you've already done audits before, there's not much point in going over all the where you put all the customers' name and address and all that.
No.
You've already done all that. Yeah.
Go do that now, in fact.
And so just on that back on that IP line build page again, up the top there, you've got IAD switch pattern 1 access box, all that. So that's something you'd more do at as built time. Just jot in all the what it is and the MAC addresses into there, so there's a permanent record of it somewhere,
Yep.
And anything referring to IP clarity is non-existent anymore. You might get a move address of an existing one, but if you haven't done any in your area, you'll never get them, so I wouldn't worry about it.
That's cool.
It's been discontinued, that product, and probably in a later version of the audit they'll drop it off this document.
Right, yep.
So you can get IP feature line still, and they're built on this page, and they're pretty much just an IP feature line. It's just they'll put all this IADs and everything in, but just deliver one analog line to a customer for a fax machine or a phone or something like that.
Right. Yep.
Not very common, but they'll do it if that's the only way they can deliver a phone to a customer. Like we have that's what I'm
doing this with this pattern. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm delivering a fax.
So it's because they don't want to, maybe they don't want to put a wholesale telecom line in or whatever. So we have up North Power, where the only Telstra network in Whangarei is over North Power fibre. So we'll put a little pattern box in and give the customer a couple of analog lines and a broadband, So they call that IP feature line.
Yep.
It's pretty much exactly the same system, but it doesn't have the dial 1 and all the features of a phone system,
Right, yep.
Yeah. But you can have plain old analog lines tied in with the IP gateway package, and they're still called IP gateway analog. So you can get a combination of the two, or they can just have an IP gateway line that doesn't have the dial 1 feature on it. It's a pretty flexible sort of system. It just depends what they sell to the customer and how they word it, but it's basically all the same thing.
Yep.
Just the feature groups that are different. So if you get them selling an IP gateway analog for a fax, that's fine, just write it in as an IP gateway analog for fax. And I think they can even remove the dial 1 feature if they want that, but it still stays as an IP gateway line. It's just, I think that's to do with the billing, they get it all cheaper if they call it IP gateway,
Yep.
Something like that. We just do whatever they tell us to, basically. One other thing I'll go over on this audit document, if you're still on that IP line build page, there's a login to Toolbar Compilot email domain name.
Where's that?
It's a blue, like an email address.
Oh, yep, login to Toolbar, yes.
Yeah, so that, if you, on that thing, this TelstraClear policy is that it has to be something name at companyname.co.nz. Has to be in that format. So if the customer's email is just like Bob at company.co.nz, that can't be their logon.
Right.
It's got to be, I think it has to be 6 digits long. So if you put Bob at companyname.co.nz, Tova will just tack something on the end of it, and quite often they won't tell you what it is. so you're better off to put it as first name dot last name, and unless you get somebody who's got 2 incredibly short names, that'll usually be longer than 6 digits.
Yes, yep, okay.
We actually had one the other day, and they went through and they dropped and dragged it down, and I had like Bob 01 and Rita 02 and Sally 03, and which was a bit of a piss off for the customer, because all their logins were these weird things that they couldn't remember. So you're better off to put it in when you do the audit as what you want it to be, like that, and make it longer than 6 digits so that it will work. And I hope like Tova actually do what you tell them to do. Half the time they'll just ignore that and go and do something completely different anyway, which is a bit annoying, but unfortunately it happens.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever found that, Wayne.
Yeah, I had to put, in a small company, I had to put like level 1 at the end of the names, because some had so small names. I had that.
Yeah.
So for ASNet, I had to put in, at the end of the names to get up to the 6. Because the very first time for the very first time I did a few, they didn't tell us you had to have a minimum of 5 or 6 lines.
Yeah, the bit after the @ can be anything. It can be at company.net.nz or whatever, but it has to be at something, you know. But the first bit in front of the @ has to be 6 digits long, so it's best to go first name dot last name, and then it's pretty standard across the company. And it may not match their email, but that's too bad. There's nothing we can do about that.
So they have to use that to log in, to get into it.
That's to the IP Gateway toolbar, which I'm not going to go over the toolbar in this training session because it just makes it too long.
Yep.
So we'll do another training session for toolbar. At this stage, if you get a job with toolbar, just make sure it works. So the customer gets sent a link, and the link, they can download it and install it on their computer.
Yep.
And then you just log into it and make sure it works, and then we can do a remote training session with them if necessary until everyone's been trained up on that properly. So
I have done that training with Jane. She did something where she was showing on the toolbar.
Yeah. So and the toolbar is still basically a piece of crap. It's got all errors in it, and half it doesn't work, and bits are greyed out. So I've basically gone back to Telstra Clear and told them we will do basic training on it. But it's actually quite embarrassing to go out there and train people because it's so crappy at the moment. So we'll do our best, and we'll try and stay professional and not badmouth the client. But it is just a piece of junk at the moment. And most people, after you've showed it to them, think, oh, it's not even worth using it, and don't even use it. You know, there's a couple of good features on it, like the remote office and that, but
I saw that.
Too long-winded to use and doesn't work half the time. So that's we still unfortunately have to stay professional and sort of tell customers that hopefully there's an updated version of it coming out soon, and do our best sort of thing. But yeah, it's a bit embarrassing. The link you click on to hook into the system doesn't work, and you have to tell the customer to go in and amend the link and delete a bit out every time they use it. No, it's just not good. But anyway, we have to work with what we've got, unfortunately. All right. So that's pretty much just a basic overview, just to give people an idea of what they should be doing as a basic thing on an audit. There should always be that voice portal, and you can use your hunt groups. You know, they're there for free. You might as well use them. You know, if the customer has hunting, don't just build the lines as stepping from one to another. You use the hunt groups. You know.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Right. So I've got on there another document that's support numbers.
Yeah, support numbers. I had a look at that before.
Yeah, if you whip that up, they basically, with the exception of Bryden, are you doing a Bryden cutover?
Yeah, I've done all the cabling. It's all ready to go.
Okay, yeah. So Bryden, if you have any issues with features or anything not working, we have to ring Joanne Lowe or Barb. And so hopefully you'll have their numbers. They've been given to you already, or you can call me, because Bryden is what they're calling a B-spec solution. It's all the features and everything are completely different to everyone else.
Right.
So if you've got a list of IP Gateway training manuals, basically throw them away for Bryden, and they will give you a list of feature codes and everything for Bryden.
Yep.
But pretty much all we have to do for Bryden is just go in there, make sure you get dial toned, you can make a call, test their call flows are working properly, and then walk away. The trainer does the training. So you don't have to worry about toolbars or anything like that for Bryden.
That's cool. There's only 6 lines.
Other than, yeah, so is yours one of these ones that are all just analog phones, or you got IP phones on your one?
Well, it's all, that was the question. It's never been designated when they are. I think they just sent down a contract price to the customer, and from that I worked out it was like 5. I think they were actually 5 digital phones. These, the normal users. And that's,
okay.
As I say, I just got weird pieces. I didn't actually get told what was going on.
Okay. So when you equipment sent, that will become blindingly
very clear.
There'll be like
yeah, that's right. And that's why I looked at it said something about $1,900 or something like that, and I worked it out that it was actually 5 of these Polycom 550s.
Okay.
Yeah. Just by taking the number and dividing by 5, I thought, okay, they've been quoted something.
Yeah. So you'll be doing the IMG 915 build, and then you switch, and then you as I say, don't plug the phones in until they've pushed down the config to the box, and they should just boot up and work. And if they don't, then all you can pretty much do is ring somebody and tell them they don't work. There's nothing. We don't have any on-site configuration of phones or anything like that.
Yep.
So you plug them in, they don't work. All you can do is ring up. You can ring one of these people on this list. At the first stage, I would ring data activations and just tell them the phones aren't working and get them to check the build. And if they still don't work, then you probably want to escalate to either Ross Campbell or Barb Barclay, who hopefully you should get sent her number. But if not, just give us a call, or we can give you her number.
We'll see how it goes.
Or Ross Campbell will put you through to her, or data activations will put you through to her anyway.
Right.
And any small issues on site, try us first, because Barb Barclay, although she means well, she's just really quick to hammer us on anything that goes wrong, and she classes little day-to-day things that happen on installs as major dramas, and she escalates it to everyone within Telstra Clear and says how hopeless down they are. And so we try and sort it out in-house first if you have any issues, especially if it's something like you need a bit of kit, or you haven't got enough leads or something like that. Just don't let her know about it. We just fix it internally and get it happening,
Yeah. I'm happy with that.
Because she honestly, if you ring her for something that she deems to be even the slightest thing you might have done wrong, you'll be getting please explain letters, and it'll be escalated to everybody within the company. So I'm just warning you now. But by all means, if you do have an issue with something not working, like you plug a phone and it doesn't go, then call her as soon as possible, because that is something that's her problem to fix, So just try and avoid the stuff we can fix internally.
No, we can. I've got it first before I get to you guys.
Yeah, and again, that's just Bryden. Bryden has been handled as a completely different setup to everyone else. As I say, they've basically rewritten the whole IP gateway features and everything. They're all completely different. What you dial for a call pickup on a normal IP gateway job is completely different on Bryden, and etc. So
right. Yep.
You should be sent the spec for your site, and it will have all the features and things. So if you don't have that, just escalate through dispatch that you need to be sent the specific instructions for your site, so that you know how to test it when you're putting it in.
Yeah, no, I think they came out, an email came out saying about that. How it's all different.
Yeah, and it should have a list of all the star codes. You dial star 65 for call pickup. All that. There should be a list of them attached to it. Yeah. So if you don't have that, just let them know, and they'll get it through to you.
Yep.
And so there will be a training session before those Bryden ones too. So just make sure you've been told when the training is, because we had a bit of an issue. One of the guys wasn't told when the training was, and he'd taken all the phones away, and the trainer turned up and there were no phones there. So if they haven't told you when the training is, just find out and make sure that everything's all set up, ready to go for the trainer.
Yep.
There's no need to take the phones away from the site, so I'm not quite sure why that guy did that.
I'll do the same. As soon as we installed it, I was going.
Yeah, just leave them there here. So I don't know why. I think he must have thought that they shouldn't have them there in case they make toll calls or something. I don't know. It was the contractor in Nelson.
Right.
took them all away. So the trainer turned up. Luckily, he was just around the corner, so he whooped down and plugged them all in, and it wasn't too much of a drama. But as I was saying, this Barclay lady got hold of it and did her usual, escalated to everyone with it, and it makes it look like we're a pack of arseholes when we haven't really done too much wrong at all, you know.
Yep.
So that's that. What else can I run over? So this training session's pretty much specifically been designed to prepare you for Brighton, so I'm not going to go over too much of the training documentation. Did I give you a thing about the toolbar training brief? Did I send that to you?
No. Pass. I can't see anything. Oh no, toolbar training brief. Yep, there it is.
Training brief, yeah. So this is a good one for us to use when you do have to train on the toolbar, because it pretty much just runs over the basics.
Oh, yep.
Of what we need to train on, not everything. There's a big, long-winded toolbar training thing which goes over everything.
Yes.
But this one, as I say, I'm not going to go over it too much today because it's another whole session. It will be here for another hour, you know.
But have
a read through that, and it does tell you how to log on and log off and how to use the little thing where you can dial people and all that.
Yep.
And change your password and that.
Yeah.
So this is what we use to train customers, and we pretty much don't go over too much else. But I will do a separate training session at some stage for that.
Yep. No problem. I'll have a wee thing about.
There's another thing, number ranges. So if you get allocated new numbers, you can just have a quick check that they are in this number range, because sometimes what they'll do is allocate numbers that should come off the A100 switch or whatever by mistake. Now, this is quite an old document, so if your numbers aren't on there, I wouldn't panic, but I would just confirm, are you sure this is a appropriate number for IP Gateway?